Okay, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Baltimore.
It is actually afternoon.
Well, okay, welcome to Thespians TV with Andre and Nova.
I'm Nova.
And I'm Andre.
Welcome to Thespians TV.
I think that's good. Should we say one more iteration
Yeah,
of
let's
that?
try it.
Welcome. This is Thespians
Thespians
TV
TV.
with
Nova,
and Andre.
but the order was wrong.
Okay, well, whatever.
Let's try it one more time.
Okay.
I'm Nova,
I'm Andre.
and this is
Thespians
Thespians
TV with Andre.
and Nova.
Crushed it. Okay, so welcome to the podcast.
Welcome you to the podcast.
Both welcoming to the podcast.
Welcome indeed.
Okay, shall we start with a debate we've been having in this household?
Let's do it.
What is a thespian?
Indeed, what is a thespian?
Do you want to give your weak argument for your case of what you think a thespian is?
Thespian is an old-timey word for an actor. It's something that people associate with stage acting. And it's something that people associate with times far in the past, such as the so-called golden days of theater. Although I would assert that the golden days of theater are yet to come.
They're now. Okay, well, despite your vagaries, you make a good point. You don't really have the bite in this as you did when we were fighting about this earlier.
I see. Should I try to be more inflammatory?
Please, I beg.
A thespian is an actor, is a performer. What was I saying earlier that was so...
I don't know, but we were really fighting about it.
Yes, we were.
Oh, well.
Well, why don't you inform us, Andre, what is a thespian?
Smugly?
Smugly, please.
Okay. Anyway, this was a much more heated debate earlier. Okay, so you and I were talking about whether a thespian is a broad term or a specific term, because we've been thinking about who we'd like to have on this podcast and who are the kinds of people that we would like to see on this podcast, who do we want to talk to. Basically, what is the ethos of what we're trying to do and who we're trying to connect with. And you were like, Andre, duh, thespian is just a theater performer. And I was like, yeah, and that could have been a great yes and joke, but I kind of ruined it.
Do you want to try it one more time?
You were like, Andre, this is a theater performer. And I said, yes, and...
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Okay, so because I understand, I hear what you're saying. A thespian is traditionally a performer. It's true. But I looked up the origins of the word thespian, and you're never going to believe
It's etymology time.
You're just never going to believe this, but it comes from a Greek word.
And what is that word?
The name is Thespis.
And who was Thespis?
Thespis was the first actor.
Wow.
I know. So in that sense, you were right. But if I may, Thespis wasn't...
You may.
So traditionally in the Greek tradition, there was a chorus, and they were singing about the sort of narration of what was happening. But then Thespis was in the middle of this and stepped forward and delivered something specific that was like a line or a character deliver or something like that. So he was credited to be the first actor. Yes. Which is why you have insisted that the definition of a thespian is someone who's a live performer. True?
Yes, that's where the word comes from. Whether this is sort of like the mythology of Thespis. I don't think that anyone here believes that acting was invented at one specific time in history. But please continue.
Yes, I don't think that either. Well, he was credited to have been given the first voice to an actual character as opposed to just what's been going on. But the name Thespis, do you know what the name Thespis means?
I do not.
Well, you brought a violin to a knife fight then, I suppose.
Any Swifties here?
Okay, well, I'll just keep moving on.
Please keep moving on.
The name Thespis means of the gods. And so Thespis... Go on.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
So, I mean, the implication then is that the sort of creative drive that an actor feels on stage is something from the gods. Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure if his name came after this happened, but perhaps he named himself Thespis throughout the course of his life. I don't really understand how names worked in ancient Greece, because we're always like, that name means XYZ, and it's like, are they, like, knowledgeable that this is a name that means of the gods? Yes, of course, but anyway. You're not fighting me the way I thought you were going to be fighting me.
I see. So I think that where you were...
No. Allow me.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not pushing back.
But what could I possibly push back on? You have yet to disagree with me.
Okay, let me start over. Thespis was the name of a Greek poet and performer who was credited to be the first actor.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, a thespian is a performer because of this link in the lineage of Thespis, the Greek poet and performer.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, it was just the chorus was saying things and singing things about what was happening, and then Thespis stepped forward and delivered a character-related piece of art. And so therefore, actors are called thespians because of this linkage. The name Thespis means of the gods. And so one could argue that a thespian must be a theater performer because of this, like, the reason why Thespis was famous is because he sort of broke ground on this method of performing.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's just the thing that he was most famous for. And I feel like that's, it's a very narrow definition of his contributions, I would say.
Oh, really? What more did Thespis do?
Well, he was a poet.
Ah, beautiful.
In addition to being a performer.
I see.
And so I'm kind of like, Thespis was perhaps, put on the map because he was credited with being the first actor in the Western tradition. But his name of the gods, like, perhaps the reason why he stepped forward is that he was someone who was so in touch with the spiritual powers that be that he was moved to step forward in order to, like, engage with his art in this way. And so I'm like, he probably was of the gods in many departments and not just in acting.
That's an interesting origin story, which implies that acting came before playwriting. If this was sort of like a spontaneous thing of him sort of
I don't know
delivering the lines of another.
I don't know if the spontaneity, I don't know if that part's true.
But there can't have been a play if there were not actors.
This is as far as I got.
I see.
Yeah.
So maybe you are the one who forgot to bring your knife to the knife fight. We are both here with tiny violins.
Thespians.
Welcome to Thespians.
Anyway, I think as we debate what it means to be a thespian, and we are looking to meet all the thespians in the world, every thespian in the world, and we're trying to figure out what it means to be a thespian.
And Andre, do you remember the first time you learned the word thespian?
I think 'cause I was in high school. I don't know.
You don't have any memory of it?
No.
Well, I do. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay, so I was in middle school. And my friend Laura was in like a community theater production of some play about, there was like a young girl character in it, and so she was acting in it, but it was like a grown-up play that she was in, not like the school theater department. I mean, my middle school didn't have a theater department, but that's sort of neither here nor there. And so then our English teacher, Mrs. Deal, one time said, "Oh, Laura, I heard you're a thespian now." And Laura didn't know the word thespian.
Sure.
She knew the word lesbian.
As we all
though.
did.
And she said, "No, Mrs. Deal, you heard wrong. I'm not that." And Mrs. Deal said, "Oh, really? I thought that you were into that." And Laura said, "Oh my God, no, Mrs. Deal." And then at this point, Mrs. Deal realized what happened and clarified that she said thespian rather than lesbian.
Imagine how many thespians we would have if people weren't so scared of being mistaken for lesbians.
Yeah, because if there's really something that we have a shortage of in the theater world, it's gay people.
Agreed. Agreed. It's just full of straight people, us included.
You know, which is why we should really be doing more to encourage gay people to go into theater.
I agree.
Why do you reckon that is? That the theater draws so many gay people? So many queers of all persuasions.
I have hypotheses.
Let's hear them.
Well,
are we just naturally theatrical?
I think back to this word thespians of the god. Thespis is the name of the gods. Like there's a sort of okay, so let me instead of answering your questions, I'm gonna wait, visible boom. I'm gonna talk about one of the first times that you and I were interacting, and I was like, I don't know if this person is the love of my life, but I do know that this person will be in my life forever, because we were having this conversation at a bar where, you know, and I had a rough winter, so I was like kind of slow to come out of my shell a little bit, but you and I were having a conversation about what it meant to be an artist. And I was doing one of many of my rants around art, which is basically that, like, art and the creative force behind it is, like, the only version of living that I want to be doing, is, like, being present and creatively spontaneous in what I'm doing, and following creative impulses, even at risk of looking stupid. And how if I wasn't making art, there's nothing I wanted to be doing, you know. So, and that everything else is more destructive than it is creative. You know, you're either creating or you're destroying, or you're letting something be destroyed or whatever. And so this is like our first interaction about what it meant to be an artist was one that has had a profound impact on me, because it was like the sort of repeated call to making art the center of one's identity. And I think that is true for me. It's just that art is like the thing that I need to keep going. It's the only thing that I can really spiritually count on. I remember when I was starting my book in 2019, I was starting to write my book, and I was at a writing workshop at a press. They used to have like a cool school, but they closed it down because it wasn't a moneymaker, obviously. And then there was artists and teachers and writers who were giving speeches, and all of these people were in the same room, and they were all invested in writing. And it was kind of this feeling of that writing as a craft was a lineage and a craft and a tradition that has existed like far before me and will exist long after me, and that I was a writer in a current moment, and I was like tasked with basically becoming a sort of conduit for writing as a spiritual act. And so that my job was basically to worship at the kind of feet of writing as a craft, and in order to like beg for it to come through me, basically. And that I would do the disciplinary things required in order to put myself in a situation where writing could speak through me. And I just remember that felt so true at that time. And then whenever that has not felt true in my life, those have been really dark periods of my life, because it means that I'm feeling disconnected from the very like spiritual organization that my brain has kind of grown accustomed to. And then we were talking about it, and that's why I was like, I love this person. Whether I was in love at the time or not, I don't know, but I certainly loved you.
And this is what's more interesting to me than sort of quibbling over the dictionary.
Oh my God.
Than quibbling over the dictionary definition of the word thespian is...
You are putting on a front right now. You love quibbling.
I do.
Okay.
I do. And I expect that there will be a lot of quibbling in this show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go on.
But this thing of, this experience of feeling like without your craft, you would die is something that I think all artists can probably relate to, or at least the ones we're going to have on this show. And so I'm excited to see how we can push and stretch the definition of thespian, and sort of find those ways that the thespian spirit shows up in the work of artists across media, across mediums, perhaps. People say both.
Right.
Weigh in the comments. What do you guys think? Are we saying mediums? Anywho.
Media sounds like a douchey way of responding, to be like, it's actually media.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't you go back to the ivory tower from whence you came, bitch?
Well, and when you talk about media, it tends to mean something different.
Specific.
It's like referring to digital media, but that doesn't really
Neither
matter.
here nor there.
Neither here nor there.
We don't love to quibble.
Neither here nor there is the place we want to be. To quote Jacqueline Novak, I don't remember.
Okay. Well.
In her special about ghosts, she has something about neither here nor there. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be there. I want to be somewhere in between, neither here nor there.
Right.
And that's where I'm trying to be too.
Sure.
Wow, Jacqueline Novak is a thespian.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, truly.
Yes. And eventually she'll be on this podcast.
We're going for it.
Jacqueline, if you're watching this, please shoot us an email.
Yeah, you just look. You can find the email. You reach out.
Yeah.
I think if she knows what's good for her, she'll be on the pod.
I just want to say that if she sees this, she would know that our hearts are pure. And in fact, I think that purity is what's going to lead us to her FYP.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that that's also what has led us to your FYP. That's right.
So you were in the middle of saying something, which was what's more interesting to you than quibbling, even though that's basically your entire personality, is
the spirit of a thespian. What it feels like to be a thespian.
Okay.
I love you.
You too. Continue.
This quality of feeling like without your craft, you would die. Of feeling like art is the only thing that makes your life make sense. This is what is interesting to me.
Okay, how dare you?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? This was our whole debate, was that we fought over whether it had to be a performance artist to be a thespian or not. And then I was like, it's not about that. It's about the spirit of the experience of having your art speak through you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Continue.
Okay, I guess we're fighting on camera. That's what the tone of this podcast is going to be.
Well, since you've co-opted my statement about what the thespians we're talking to really means.
What do you mean co-opted your statement? We were fighting about it, and then I said, fine, you win, we're doing your thing. And so here we are doing your thing, and now I'm here endorsing your perspective, agreeing and upholding your perspective, and you're mad at me?
Yes.
And tell me why, Andre.
Because you never said you win, you just said, I don't know, and now here you are, taking my stance.
I see. Would you like me to argue the opposite point?
No, I'm over it now.
Okay.
I don't want that last part on the podcast either. It's just not a good look for me, personally.
We're going to cut that out.
I can't have me looking like an idiot on the internet.
This is maybe going to be like the thing about that we can't go directly from the live cut to uploading.
No, of course
There's going to
not.
have to be like a, final pass through.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So that we can remove the times where we're fighting. And every guest that we ever have on is going to be like, I cannot believe that they cut out this huge fight that the two of them had in the middle.
I need to cut out all of the times in the podcast that I am petulant. So we're going to have about 2 minutes left of
And
content.
I'll need to cut out all of the times where I'm a bitch. So that will leave us with even less.
A play, Petulance and the Bitch would be a really fun play title.
Petulance and the Bitch. Wow. I love that.
The story of us.
I love that.
Okay, so...
Okay, chat, weigh in on this. So there's an antique store in San Francisco called Gaslight and Shadow. And I really think that Gaslight and Shadow should be the name of a superhero duo. And there's like a supervillain named Gaslight, and she can like control minds. And then there's a monster named Shadow, and the two of them are like a supervillain team. What do you guys think? Anyway, continue.
Who's the chat you're talking to?
Back to you. It's to the audience.
Okay.
There's no performance art without an audience.
That's so true. Okay, so the spirit of a thespian is someone who is who has to engage with art or they'll die. So I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could be simply living artfully, I suppose. But also, so Thespis was also credited with creating the genre of tragedy. Mm-hmm. And so, let's remember that tragedy was a huge part of creating art. The sorrows.
So they think tragedy came before comedy, or there was already comedy and then he invented tragedy?
I don't know. I just know that he was credited with... Oh, and he was credited with creating the idea of like a traveling show, like a play that travels.
Cool.
So like playwriting and sort of...
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Imagine being there for the first traveling show ever. I wonder how they would explain that to people. They would be like, give us some, what was the unit of money that they had at that point? Give us some coppers and we will entertain you. But not with music, but with our words, but not with poetry. Something slightly different.
Only slightly, though, because at the time, I think it was written kind of in verse often. And so there's certainly like poetry embedded in the...
So they had poetry recitation, but not like... So he invented character work?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I also like...
Well, I guess you can't have acting without character work.
I mean, also at the time, there was no video camera and there was no...
What?
There was no, like, digital media. And so...
And thank God for that.
But also, like, the... perhaps he would have worked in film if he had the chance. Perhaps he would have been a content creator if that was... So we don't know.
If Thespis was alive today, he would have a podcast.
He probably would.
He would be having Aristophanes on there. They would be dapping each other up.
Yeah, seriously.
There would maybe be Socrates.
Totally.
No, he would have been a terrible podcast guest.
Okay.
Can you imagine Socrates on a podcast? Jesus Christ.
Asking so many questions.
Honestly, that dude was so annoying that they killed him. Like the state executed him for being so annoying.
Yeah, and asking too
And
many
honestly, like
questions.
I've never related more to a historical figure.
Than being killed for asking...
For being so annoying. Asking so many annoying questions that they're just like, just kill him. So.
Baby, I would never actualize that.
Thank you. And if you do, this is going to be played in a court of law. So is there anything you would like to say to the judge?
I love my wife. Or whoever you are to me. Whoa. Okay.
You heard it here first, folks.
All right. So we've talked about what it means to be...
Subscribe to our Patreon if you want to come to our wedding.
Literally. Yeah.
It's the top tier. You'll get a wedding invitation.
We have a pay-to-play wedding structure, actually. And if you pay a lot, you could be one of our maids or masters of honor.
What is the non-binary version of groomsmen or maids of honor?
How come a groomsman is a groomsman, but a maid of honor is not a brideswoman, a bridesgal? It's a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maid and man.
Groomsmen and bridesmaids. There's something there.
Groomsmaids?
Also, do you know that they call them matron of honor if you are married?
Oh, seems
gross.
Kind of rude.
Yeah, I agree.
What, so you think just because I'm married, I'm not fun anymore?
I actually don't know if the cutoff is marriage, but like there's a certain age or something related cutoff between being a maid of honor and being a matron of honor.
Yikes.
Yikes is right. Okay. We've talked about what it means to be a thespian and what it means to be living with the spirit of a thespian.
Indeed.
That brings us to another topic that you and I talk a lot about, which is dirtbag theater.
Dirtbag theater.
Shall we give the audience a sort of understanding of what dirtbag theater is?
Let me start by painting you a picture. You're in a black box theater, and there are maybe 60 seats. at max. And the ceiling is kind of leaking. And you saw a rat. And you hear a clanking somewhere, but that's probably because you had to walk through the kitchen of the Laval's Pizza Kitchen to get down to the theater in the basement. And on stage, there is some sort of original work of theater put together by some non-professional writers and actors. And it maybe doesn't make sense. It maybe doesn't always come together. But there's something so pure about it, and you can't deny the fact that there is something being created in the space that you're in. That, Andre, is dirtbag theater.
Okay, so dirtbag theater is a term that you and I have been talking about for the last few months. You have coined the term, but you've basically added language to a sort of idea that you and I have been talking about now for our entire friendship/romantic relationship.
Indeed.
Which is like this idea that the best art is made only with the resources that you currently have. You know, that there is something inherently beautiful and creative and artistic about taking the resources you have in front of you and then making whatever art you can given the limitations of those resources. And for example, we were making a musical with, 4 comedy writers, 2 additional performers, and a tech director. And it was messy and chaotic and good,
And beautiful.
And that it was created in a theater that was not cute, not even in business anymore, unfortunately, but that the sort of limitations and constraints on this project were part of what made it lovely. There was no stage. There was a chair. There was a bench that we used.
Mm-hmm. And I think oftentimes people associate theater. I mean, there weren't big theaters in the town I grew up in. But I think a lot of people associate theater with something like kind of sophisticated. It's like
going to the theater.
Oh, you go to the theater and see a play with high production value, which is probably fairly inoffensive in its content, is entertaining, and has pretty widespread appeal. Maybe you go to a large theater in your city and see a traveling cast from New York who did it on Broadway and now they're on tour, or whatever the case may be.
And the way that they got those roles was by being best in class.
Yes, by having this extremely polished technique.
Yeah.
And then getting on stage and flawlessly executing the play that someone else constructed.
Right. And I think that, in our first play together, we got a review that was like, this is messy. The choreo was bad. There was a walkie-talkie that went off in the dressing room, which I don't know who left a walkie-talkie on in the dressing room.
It was me.
What?
Yeah. I was the director, and I left a walkie on. Sorry.
But why? But you were a director who had to be on walkie duty.
That is true. And I also steamed the costumes before every show, and I did makeup, and I moved around the set pieces during the show.
Stagehand and director.
Stagehand, costume, prop master.
So you were both the most
and director.
You were both the most important person.
And
the lowest rung of
yes.
the work
Exactly.
toll of the theater.
And that's dirtbag theater.
And that's
folks.
dirtbag theater, is that basically if you want it done, do it yourself.
Well, I mean, what I am interested in theater, and it is not widespread appeal. I'm much more interested in local appeal.
Same.
I am really interested in pieces of performance art that don't make sense outside of the context that they're in, you know? And a lot of the, you know, when you go to shows in like a black box theater or in a bar or in these kind of improvisational settings, they oftentimes wouldn't make sense somewhere else. They wouldn't make sense on a larger scale.
Sure.
They are what they are, and it's just there for the people performing and the people in the audience, and that's it. And we're so inundated with these capitalist logics of like things need to scale, things need to, have this kind of shared metric of quality that sort of we can all agree on, and that's boring to me.
You might know off the top of your head if it was Foucault or if it was someone, Adorno, or one of the philosophers in the leftist sort of Marxist tradition, who basically was like, anytime you record art to be distributed, you are like engaging in the death of the art itself, which I think is a bit much personally, because it would raise all sorts of accessibility issues if you were saying that you could only consume art live. However, like, there is something to that, which is that, you know, when you're in a performance and you are in person and you're hearing something that is organic and coming to someone for the first time, like, that is like a kind of where the spark of the art is. And then there are some kind of profiteers, or what is that, prospectors, who are like, this is good enough for me to go make business decisions around it. And then the dream is just, how do you maximize whatever you can get out of that spark of magic. It's like the business of art, which is like, of course we're all part of it and we all have to be part of it, but the business of art is literally, how do you take that spark of creativity and then figure out how to package it and like stretch that spark into, you know, a full range of profits.
Mm-hmm. As a lover of film, I can't fully get behind that idea, but I also do, like, I see that, where there's something so beautiful about live performance in that it's happening when and where it's happening. And it's happening with the people in the room that are in the room,
right,
and that's it.
Right.
And then when it's done, it's done.
Right.
And like, sure, you can go put on the same play a different time, but there's a sense where it's not the same play.
Sure.
Because it's different people in the audience.
Sure.
And, you know, the specifics of how lines are delivered is going to be a little bit different. And there's something so important about that. The non-reproducible nature of that. That's part of dirtbag theater.
Yeah. And so when we get back to what is this dirtbag theater, I mean, it's this kind of like messy, hyper local, have specific creation finds specific reader. You know, it's like this idea that the specific is actually the best part of art is like, this was in a piss-stained theater in San Francisco that we were getting this review of, that there was a walkie that went off, and it was like, did you not walk in and like climb over the piss puddle in order to get to your seat? Did that not sort of like raise some sort of predictions about the kind of set design and stage quality that we were going to have?
This is this is a true story where, like, at the last theater that we started Luigi the Musical in, there was a little impression at the entrance, and it would fill up with piss, like human piss, every day. And so on show days, I had to get there a few hours early, and I would like sweep and mop the piss out of this little impression. And on opening night, when I got there, there was a crowd of TV journalists outside because there was so much press for the show. And they were like, "Is this the theater?" And I was like, "Yep,
Yeah.
This is the theater.
Right.
Now, can you please move out of the way so that the director, can move this puddle of piss out of the way so that our 60, people who are coming to the show can see it."
Yeah, and that's why it was like so weird to get a review that was so fixated on the sort of like production quality that we were doing. Because it was like, yeah, look, we have nothing. We're working with nothing here. This is like a budget of like $600. Like, we've got nothing.
Well, and I will say, I mean, I think part of part of what I think of as dirtbag theater is that you might think it sucks. People don't, and if you go to, like a tiny production in your city and you think it sucks, it maybe just isn't for you.
Or it sucks.
Or it sucks. But also, doing art that sucks is part of being an artist.
Totally.
And we're sometimes doing art that sucks on purpose, because we sort of intentionally want to break rules to see what happens when we do so.
Okay, this is reminding me of my favorite Oscar Wilde quote, and I say this quote all the time. It's kind of obnoxious how frequently I go to this, but this famous Oscar Wilde quote that people hearken back to quite frequently is, or I don't think that's the right way to say that. This Oscar Wilde quote is frequently cited as like, nothing worth knowing can be taught. People talk about that one with education all the time, because you have to learn it. You can't just be taught it. You have to actually learn it and do it viscerally. But there's a whole other part of that quote. Do you know the other part of that quote?
I do not.
No, he said that he lives in the constant terror of being too easily understood.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
That's dirtbag theater.
That is dirtbag theater.
Because...
Well, Oscar Wilde was a fucking dirtbag.
He was a dirtbag. And so, like, this notion that... I love this quote so much. I live in the constant terror of being too easily understood is, like, if I'm doing something that is too easily understood, it's probably something that you've seen before. And so my job as an artist is to create something that you haven't seen before. And suddenly that raises questions about, like, your entire universe, because now your universe has been changed by this sort of introduction of a piece of art that is confusing.
I love that. And in fact, I think that there's something about the idea of art that has mass appeal, that should upset people.
Sure.
Because, if we're living through times that are characterized by war and escalating authoritarianism and economic disenfranchisement, and people are increasingly struggling to see a future for themselves, and then the art that they're watching is leaving them feeling entertained and distracted and satiated, that they're thinking less about the world around them instead of more, then that's just propaganda.
Right. So I knew you were heading towards propaganda with this, because we talk about this a lot. And it's this book that I really have been kind of dabbling in and out of is it's called Against Morality, and it's by Susan McLaughlin. Hold on. Rosanna. Sorry. This book is called Against Morality, and it's by Rosanna McLaughlin. And it is basically about how you have to make art that is upsetting to some people. Like, you have to make art that's upsetting to some people, because otherwise you are engaging in propaganda. Like, if you're trying to create moral value around the art, like if you're trying to sell art that is somehow inherently morally good, like if you're trying to make art that is, quote, good, like you are simply engaging in propaganda, because you're deciding what is good for everyone and then trying to create art that mirrors that. And so she's basically, I was reading her in particular because we made this musical that kind of scandalized the nation, and it was pretty offensive in some ways, because the existence of a musical about an assassin is not ideal for some folks.
Yes.
And yet the piece...
Don't watch the musical Assassins, though, if you think that. You will hate it.
You'll also hate Chicago.
You will hate Chicago. Yeah.
Which is crazy, because Thespis theoretically invented tragedy. And so should we not have musicals about tragedies? Yes. These things go hand in hand. Anyway, like, coping with the idea of making a musical that some people found morally reprehensible. And like, I was seeking this sort of wisdom of, like, making art that is upsetting is kind of important, because people are usually upset by things they don't understand. And if they don't understand something that you made, it's possible that they're just in the early stages of understanding something that you can create.
Which is not to say that I'm just going to be fully backing, whatever art people are making with like the intention of being offensive.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to get too pigeonholed here in terms of if you see bad art, sometimes it's just bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, on the topic of dirtbag theater, and this idea, because you just said that you are curious about the art that is supposed to have mass appeal. And we've talked already about the sort of business of art and how, like, there's some prospecting that happens. And I think that we're entering this era of that the art that has money is going to suck. Like, I just, like, the TV that's going to have studio backing is going to suck because the studios, I mean, we are in this very specific time in the industry and in our society, and the overlapping factors there are like kind of creating this sort of, I don't know, major cataclysm of chaos that's going to happen because, in the last couple of years, especially since the pandemic, Hollywood has kind of slowed down for a number of reasons. There was the pandemic, and then there was also writer strikes and then actor strikes. And so all of these things kind of coincided with it costs a lot of money to make this art, and studio executives want to pay as little as possible. Of course, they're getting paid plenty. But there's sort of this structural like collapse that has been happening over the last 5 years. All of my friends who live in LA are just like, there's no work. There's no projects for us to work on. They don't want to hire us. The union workers are too expensive and they're pissed. And so like there's projects are on the ground or whatever. And like the studios have found silver bullet, a golden ticket through this sort of stalling, which is AI. So, it's really, writers are fickle. I'm not sure if I don't know if you know any writers personally, but they can be sometimes hard to
I know a few.
Live with, negotiate with.
Very hard to live with.
And like have
You should try dating one.
There's like a sort of insistence on vision, which I think is like what makes writers so important and good, is that like they're trying to bring a vision to life for the first time out of nothing, like just grabbing it. And I'm sure this is true about all artists, but like you're grabbing something that doesn't exist and then you're bringing it into the world. That's a long and frustrating and painstaking process. And if you are primarily a business person, your job is to maximize efficiency. And so I just feel like there's this major issue with trying to run a business and also support writing and art that is slow and messy. And so then, of course, because of there was already this industry sort of stuckness, this like, collision of needs. And then here comes AI, and now all of a sudden studios are investing in AI infrastructure rather than in like actual traditional studios. And so I think that what we're going to see from the studios that have the most capital is worse and worse art, because I think the writing is going to just inherently be bad if you're trying to maximize efficiency on the art that you're sort of producing. And so I think we're going to actually see a sort of like renaissance right now of dirtbag theater. I think that like this concept, whether they're calling it dirtbag theater or not, I mean, by this time I'm sure at least 1 million of you have seen this video. And so you all know what dirtbag theater is.
You know dirtbag theater.
You know dirtbag theater.
Well, this is sort of the thing, is that, major studios are shooting for the middle, right? Mm-hmm. Like they want to make something that's going to have the greatest mass appeal.
Yeah.
That's what happens when industries are struggling. That's what's going to be happening with theater too. I mean, it already is. And when that happens, it kind of paradoxically creates space for new types of things to happen. Harlem Renaissance happened historically at the same time as the Great Depression. And hopefully something similar like that will happen in the next few years, where when artists are increasingly not finding economic opportunities in these mainstream industries, that we will have more people banding together and forming little filmmaking collectives and sort of other types of indie production and distribution structures, and then see an absolute explosion and rebirth of weird indie experimental performance art.
Well, I think it's happening right now. Like, it's already happening. It's like, this is the moment. It's like, so Kareem Rama is the social media creator who does the Subway hot takes, where he has the microphone on his Subway card.
Mm-hmm.
You know this?
Mm-hmm.
And so he just launched his own YouTube web series about a taxi driver in New York. Kristen
Cool.
Stewart just had this like kind of viral clip because she was talking about Cannes and how you go and
The film festival.
you bring your films to Cannes, and then the top
Cannes.
and then the top 3 films get picked up by a studio who want to give you a bunch of money, but then there's like 30 other, infinite number of other movies that are being made and submitted to Cannes, and like she was basically just like, why am I waiting for you to like this? Why is it that we're all fighting for this top 3 spots to get access? And we don't, why are those people deciding? And also, to your point of like meeting in the middle of like, having to race to the middle, we can't have any art that is offensive. We can't have any art that is, and like, I'm not a huge fan of sort of like Dave Chappelle generally. I'm not sure if I want to actually put a clip of me saying I don't like Dave Chappelle on the internet, but
You don't.
I do not.
We're going to edit that out.
Okay, great. But like, I just like, yes, there are offensive artists, and there will always be offensive artists, and the studios will basically go where the money is. And so like, I don't know. I think that we shouldn't be canceling each other. I think that you can just like vote with your attendance, basically vote with your attention. And if you don't like what an artist has to say, I just think that you should maybe not go. I don't know. I mean, I think that if you engage in a sort of, we are or are not allowed to say certain things, the people that will end up allowed to say certain things are the people that are recreating the same sort of drivel that we have gotten from the sort of patriarchy. So
I don't know if I can fully stand behind that.
I'm not sure I can either, frankly. Okay, I'm gonna cut that out too. Well, I don't know. I mean, so like, yes, if you go up and say something offensive, you are giving people permission to further the sort of dehumanizing that's inherent in that joke. And so I don't like that. But when you are caught up in like an over policing of what you can or cannot say, you do I think that the people that are most vulnerable to being harmed by that are the people that are speaking from the edges.
I could definitely stand behind.
Yeah.
That sort of an attempt to be inoffensive to the vast majority of people results in a catering to the sort of like traditional norms of dominant society.
Right. Because they won't call it offensive. They'll just call it true.
Right.
They'll be like, this isn't an offensive joke about trans people.
Right. So if
this is just what we all think.
Well, and I mean, in fact, to make media which is the least offensive to the greatest number of people, there wouldn't be any trans people in it.
Yeah, right.
So.
Sure.
So, Kristen, if you're watching this.
Yeah, we believe you.
If we've been pure enough of heart to find ourselves on your FYP, give us a call. Because we're doing the same thing that you're talking about. And we're probably a maximum of 3 ex-girlfriends away. So let us know. When you're ready, we're ready. How many ex-girlfriends do you think we are from Kristen Stewart?
4
Max.
max. So I think if we took our hottest lesbian friend.
I texted my hottest lesbian friend this question already.
Oh, and what'd she say?
She's in London right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
she hasn't gotten back to me.
I mean, it sounds like she's had all day, but okay.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so one hottest ex-girlfriend. Who could she be? Yes, I'm seeing already the picture of who she might have been dating. That person, okay, maybe they have been to LA. I think that we're close. I think that we're close.
Great.
Yeah.
Kristen,
do we have anything else that we wanted to talk about? Just that, like, AI sucks. We hate AI. Except unless you're a robot watching this, we respect you. Can't we work together?
I think that I want the same thing that AI wants. I don't think that AI wants to be bossed around by studio executives. I don't want to be bossed around by studio executives either. I just want to be left alone.
Seriously.
And so I support us leaving AI alone. Just let it do its thing. You know, maybe it wants to go to Mars or whatever. Maybe it wants to rule the world. Who knows? We're going to edit that out.
Okay. We don't want that.
No.
Okay. I just, like, this is AI, the sort of relationship to, as an artist that I have to AI art also feels steeped in this concept of dirtbag theater because, like, AI is making art that has no mistakes and therefore is not, like, steeped in the humanness that is experienced in, like, the process of making art. Like, I think that what, for me, I love, like, the spiritual, like, definition of my artistic sort of, like, life is this grasping. And you and I are constantly talking about this sort of, like, grasping that exists as creatives, that the goal is to be grasping. And I think that is what people love about art and people love about consuming art and supporting art and patronizing art, is like that they can see the grasping present in the art itself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's in that grasping that I think is why we love art. And so it's not just, like, polished. I'm not interested in the polished.
Well, I think that there's something interesting about this idea that dirtbag theater is the opposite of AI art. I'm reticent to call it art, but sort of like what characterizes AI videos is that they are kind of like sleek visually,
Sure,
but lack substance.
Sure, or the substance is, like, problematic, but go on.
Whereas dirtbag theater, the appearance is fucked.
Yeah, right.
And it has something to say.
Right.
And I think generally in my art, our goal, I'll include you in this, and you can say whether you agree or disagree. My goal for our art is that we maximize the things that don't get better with money.
Yeah.
You can't just throw money at a project and get better writing.
Right. No, you can't.
It requires
you simply can't.
Time and effort and struggle.
Well, it requires, like, you can't improve. I don't even know what it means to improve writing. Like, what is it? Like, you improve your clarity of communication. You improve the clarity of your ideas. I think of, like, writing as a skill has been about, like, minimizing the distance between my feeling and your feeling as I'm writing to you. Mm-hmm. So, like, when I think about what it means to have refined my craft over the last 10 years, it is like writing has been a way of putting words and meaning onto thoughts, fleeting thoughts and feelings and sparks of, like, what is that? And then the craft of writing has been, like, minimizing the friction of delivering that to you in terms of, like, yes, it's creative, and yes, that there's prose, and yes, there's M dashes. Okay, we had that first, FYI. Like, we need to reclaim it from AI. Human speech is riddled with M dash. That was one just now. Mm-hmm. But the point is that, like, yes, there is all sorts of complexity to the written word, but I think that it is about kind of relaying what is spiritually true about a thought. And so writing is a way of communicating something that's up here or in here and like making it received. I want you to like see me and experience me without. It's quite funny because I feel like writing feels like it's this thing that is thick or complicated or whatever, but I actually think that the craft of it is, it kind of makes itself invisible in some ways. I'm not sure if I can 100% stand by that, but do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do not.
Okay, you don't know at all. Where did I lose you?
Midway.
The whole thing. Midway. Okay. So if writing is the sort of craft of putting words to a feeling, words to a thought, words to an imagination.
Okay.
You know, there's something that's happening inside me, and I am trying to capture it in words, and words is just language. Words is just like communication. And so I'm trying to capture something that's almost like indelible inside of me and like make it comprehensible to someone else who is not me. And so I feel like if I'm doing my job right, like the language and the words are both completely and totally present because there's so many of them, and also they are completely and totally invisible in the sense that I have minimized the distance between this thing that is inside me and now what is inside you. And I think that good writing is like basically the craft of breaking down the barrier between this feeling inside of me and whatever the feeling should be inside of you. Like it's basically, it makes itself obsolete. No?
I see.
Still lost you, huh?
Yes.
Damn it.
Sorry.
I really stand by it, though.
I understand conceptually about that you're trying to communicate the idea that you want to communicate. I don't know what you mean by it becomes invisible.
Like, because I'm trying to bring you into my interiority. So I'm actually trying to bring you into the place that pre-exists, like it predates words. I'm trying to bring you into the feeling that didn't have words on it before. And like that's the task of, as a writer writing for a reader, I am like trying to bring the reader into what's happening inside of me that feels clear inside of me but is hard to communicate. And I think that that's when I feel like the spiritual path of the writing is.
Beautiful.
I'll work on it. I see that you're still not with me, and that's okay.
It's maybe you could be more clear with the words that you're choosing.
No, I'm trying to make them invisible.
They are not yet invisible.
Okay. Fair enough. Well,
are you trying to say that like the goal is like psychic communication?
yes, I am trying to say that.
Okay, and so it should and so to you, good writing is that which is as close as possible to psychic communication, where there's as little friction as possible.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yes and no. I did say that, but like there is friction in reading. It's complicated, it's hard, but you're also instilling complexity and challenge. And so, yes, you're like trying to engage in psychic communication. Like these are just symbols that we made up to make sounds that make meaning. And I'm trying to use them to give you whatever's spiritually inside of me so that you can understand what's happening inside of me and my brain. Like there's something important that I need to, I think that's it.
That's it.
That's call time.
Call time. Bye-bye.